Yeah, no, Denmark, I looked forward to going, but I thought that the Prime Minister's statement that it was absurd, it was an absurd idea, it was nasty. I thought it was an inappropriate statement. All she had to do is say, no, we wouldn't be interested, but we can't treat the United States of America the way they treated us under President Obama. I thought it was a very not nice way of saying something. They could have told me no. This is something that's been discussed for many years. Harry Truman had the idea of Greenland. I had the idea. Other people have had the idea. It goes back into the early 1900s. But Harry Truman very strongly thought it was a good idea. I think it's a good idea because Denmark is losing $700 million a year with it. It doesn't do them any good, but all they had to do is say, no, we'd rather not do that, or we'd rather not talk about it. Don't say what an absurd idea that is, because she's not talking to me. Excuse me. She's not talking to me. She's talking to the United States of America. You don't talk to the United States that way, at least under me. Now, President Obama, when they wouldn't let him land in the Philippines, when they treated him so badly at so many places, the Philippines is one that comes to mind. That's different. That's different. They can treat him any way they want to. That's up to him. But they can't treat the United States with a statement, how absurd.
We are now several weeks into a news cycle in which the President of the United States is still trying to buy part of another sovereign nation in 2019. And this is the part where the Prime Minister of said country tells Donald Trump, no, you can't have part of our kingdom, and Donald Trump throws a tantrum. And just to show how far and how fast we can fall in the age of Trump, his tweet yesterday canceling his trip to Denmark because he couldn't buy Greenland from them actually seems rational compared to today. He had written, Denmark is a very special country with incredible people, but based on Prime Minister Fredriksen's comments that she would have no interest in discussing the purchase of Greenland, I will be postponing our meeting scheduled in 2 weeks for another time. The Prime Minister was able to save a great deal of expense and effort for both the United States and Denmark by being so direct. I thank her for that and look forward to rescheduling sometime in the future. And so it was a pretty stunning about face when Trump opted today to take a more aggressive approach, even going so far as to call the Prime Minister's response no longer direct, but nasty. And we've heard the word nasty before. Trump has used it to describe Meghan Markle, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, the mayor of San Juan, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren. Now, I wonder what all of those people have in common. The fact is that Trump doesn't know how to deal with strong women. He subscribes to this archaic idea of masculinity where you have to beat your chest and prove to everyone just how tough you are. Which is why, despite pretending yesterday in his tweet that he appreciated her directness, he turned around today after being the butt of a slew of self-inflicted jokes all night and said, everyone's laughing at me, better lash out at this woman who I feel slighted by. This whole thing is because Trump has a delicate ego and it's been bruised, which is especially ironic considering it was Trump who painted Hillary as too emotional to be president. There's also the fact that Obama scheduled a visit to Denmark on September 28th, just 5 days after Trump was slated to arrive. And while Trump can't even travel to American cities without being followed by massive protests, his popularity is even worse internationally. In Denmark specifically, their views on US leadership have plummeted 26% since Trump took office. So the prospect of not only a lukewarm welcome and possibly protests, but having that coupled with comparisons of Obama being greeted with open arms only a few days later would absolutely be enough to send Trump into a tailspin. And if you don't think Trump would be that petty, consider the fact that he literally invoked Obama during his answer to this very question about the Prime Minister of Greenland.
You don't talk to the United States that way, at least under me. Now, President Obama.
And look, there is just as good a chance that this is to distract from an absolute onslaught of different scandals. From the fact that the majority of congresspeople in the House now support an impeachment inquiry, from the crimes against humanity on the southern border, or from his complete cowardice when it comes to taking on the NRA in the face of daily mass shootings. But to use an ally as a distraction, the same ally, mind you, that sent 43 service members to die in the American-led mission in Afghanistan, that sent 7 to die in Iraq, is low even for Trump. That he is literally willing to upend our long-held relationships with other allied nations around the world to insulate himself or distract from a bad news story goes to show that there is no limit to what Trump will set on fire to protect himself.